Our sponsor this month is Published, an affiliate of Village Voices. Published offers all author services from writing tips, critiques, manuscript evaluations, and editing, as well as tips to help you become published. If you prefer to self-publish, purchase the step-by-step book on publishing through Amazon, or purchase services a la carte, from formatting to creating custom covers, or even tips to gather endorsements. The staff is headed by 2 professional writers. After your books are published, either trade paper, electronically, or both, purchase marketing tips, web services, book trailers, or turn your book into an audiobook. Publish provides all your writing, publishing, and marketing needs. So give them a call at 941-748-6865. Contact them online at dgould497@aol.com, or go to the website at www.publishedavillagevoices.webs.com. Good afternoon. Welcome to Culture Coast. The intro you just heard was by Alan Lusitano, and today we're interviewing artist Barbara Colangelo. Hi, Barbara. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Donna.
All right. We're going to get started with when you first realized that you had a love for art.
Oh, I was probably around 4 years old, and I started drawing and painting, and I just continued on till now.
Now, was anybody in your family an artist? Did you
have
a mentor?
No.
So what kind of medium? You said you're drawing and painting. Was
right.
it
Well,
watercolors?
I started with drawing, with pencil drawings, and evolved to watercolors. I went to an art college and studied textile design. And I've painted in every medium that there is, but eventually settled on watercolor.
All right, so that's your
I did
favorite.
pure watercolors for a long time, and then evolved from there to mixed media, which I still work in water media, but I also combine it with textures and layers of different papers and pen and ink detail.
Things like the tissue paper background for the watercoloring?
It's not actually a tissue paper background. It's more like a bleeding watercolor tissue that actually bleeds onto the paper. So the tissue doesn't stay on there.
Okay.
Just the color does.
So we'll get back into more of that. So did you major in it in high school? Did you take a lot of art courses?
I took a lot of art classes, yes, in high school. And then, of course...
So by then you knew you wanted to be an artist when you grew up?
Yes. I thought I would go into fashion design, but once I got into art college, I decided that textile design was the way I wanted to go.
Now, what college did you go to? Where were you?
The Newark School of Fine Art.
What area was that in?
In New Jersey.
In New Jersey. So the Newark School of Fine Art?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you said you majored in, you leaned toward the textile. What exactly do they teach you with the textile
Well,
design?
we were taught to do, to put our designs into patterns that could be transformed onto cloth. So I eventually, when I graduated, designed for Dan River which is a huge textile company in New York City.
Okay, so this is like patterned materials
Yes.
that you're creating?
Any patterns, like the patterns on your dress, patterns on sheets, and
actual pictures?
Everything.
Like, do they sometimes do actual pictures?
Not
almost?
necessarily. It was more like floral design, just decorative design.
Plaids and
Yeah,
tweeds.
some
and
plaids, no tweeds.
No tweeds. All right, so you started doing that with who? What was the...
Dan River.
Dan River, and that's a big global company,
Yes.
And we're back. Okay, so Dan River is a major global...
It's a major textile company.
Okay, and they're still in business?
Yes.
How long did you work for them, and what caused you to leave?
I worked for them for a couple of years, and then I decided that the commute into New York City was too much and that I really wanted something closer to home. So I left and I started teaching.
And you were teaching at what kind of school?
I taught at a private school, and I taught art.
And your degree was transferable to becoming an art teacher?
Yes.
At private schools or public schools and private? Both?
Just private.
Just private. Okay. So you're teaching art and painting, and what brought you to this area, the Culture Coast?
Retirement. Retirement, and the fact that I just love Sarasota, the Bradenton, Sarasota area, and that it does have so much culture and so much art, not only the visual arts, but also the performing arts.
Right. It's a wonderful, wonderful area. So you're up in Jersey and near New York City, where there's lots of things. Were you already, since you're teaching, in your spare time, were you creating art for shows and
Yes.
showing in shows up there?
Yes, and doing a lot of the outdoor festivals in the tri-state area.
And doing well?
Yes.
It was a nice supplemental income on top of the teaching?
Yes.
That's
and not so much for the income as just for the art.
And a great way to get started in developing your whole portfolio.
And getting married and having children and, just...
Are any of your children artists?
I have one son who's very artistic and one son who's very musically artistic. And I have several grandchildren who are very artistic.
So it's definitely a genetic...
I guess so. I'm not sure where I got it, but I know where they're getting it.
So your parents weren't, but you are, and they
Right.
are. It may just be a sign of when we started having more time to develop the creative side of ourselves. And for a while there, I think in this country, that wasn't so easy to do. You had to be in this rigid little box and do this. You couldn't do the whole creative thing.
Well, if it comes from any of my ancestors, I don't know. I have one cousin who's an excellent artist. She lives in Boston. And other than that, it's just really the two of us.
Now,
out of a huge family.
You did mention that now you're no longer in the textiles; it's the watercolors and the mixed media watercolor type stuff. So tell me more about your foray into that. You retired, you moved down here, and you've transferred from this type of painting that you're doing to something new and different. How did that develop?
I guess it was just some workshops I attended that I learned about different textures and different ways to do things and different paper making, and then I just combined it all and just developed it into my very own style that I don't really believe anybody else is doing what I do.
Well, I hope not. Art is unique.
It is. Yes. But there are people who try and copy and people who try and want to know what you're doing step by step, and I don't disclose what I do step by step.
That's a good
because
thing.
Right now people are just like to stand there and say, how does she do that? How did you get that to look like that? Because it does give it more depth than just a regular watercolor. Mm-hmm. And then I think my signature is the pen and ink detail that I do on it.
So
because people definitely can identify my work no matter what I'm doing with it.
That's very cool. You have been, how many years have you been selling your art here in this area?
18.
Okay. And you've been in juried shows and won awards, and you've developed a reputation locally. Do you have showings in other states?
Not at this time. Just in the past year, I've just decided to stay in Florida. It's too difficult to maintain your art in another state and to know what's really going on in other galleries in different states.
And they knock it around and sometimes damage your work and then send it back.
I didn't have that. No, I never found that. But I just found that I very often I didn't know what was happening with it. And I was actually in one gallery that kept it for a year. And it took a while to get it back. So I just decided to stay local, stay in Village of the Arts, stay in Bradenton and in Sarasota, Venice, St. Pete, Tampa, just, the local
art festivals and
I
galleries?
Really don't do outdoor art festivals anymore, mostly in galleries and in retail stores.
Now, is all of your work original, or do you also go into the prints now?
Most of my work is original, but I will do giclée printing, which is that very finite type of reproduction. If I do something and I don't want to sell it, I may make prints of it. Or sometimes people will ask for prints so they can buy an image at a lower price. So it depends. And I don't have any standard as to what I do with reproduction.
Now, are you showing in any galleries at this time?
I'm at the Dancing Crane Gallery.
Okay, that's in the Village of the Arts.
In the Village of the Arts.
All right.
And I have been here since they opened. They are my main gallery representation. I do a lot of shows in different venues, and I'm also in a retail store in Sarasota called I Tesori. They specialize in imports from Italy.
Oh, very nice. Now, why if they're specializing in imports from Italy? I know you're Italian. Is that why they're using you locally?
Well, they were also friends of mine. So, and I think my being Italian probably had something to do with it.
Might have a lot to do with it.
Because I'm the only artist there. I'm the only artist's work that they carry.
Are there designers locally that you work with? Interior designers that might come to you for their work?
No, I don't. I've met many of them. There's huge interest in my work, but the actual connection where they're going to be buying my work on a continual basis has not happened.
Okay. And do you have a catalog? I know you've got a website, but
I have mostly work on my website, and then of course if somebody wants an appointment with me, I'm more than happy to meet them. I do not have a catalog at this time, but I do keep a book of images if I need to bring it somewhere.
That's pretty interesting that you can take it out there with you. It's online. I love the internet.
Yes. I do also.
You never got into the sculpting, the 3D type of stuff?
No.
So it's always been
not since
two-dimensional.
school when I did a sculpture of a cat, and my father thought it was a sculpture of a broken leg. So no, I think that was that was as far as I went with sculpting.
Okay, not real good with that kind of hands-on stuff. It's more
not really. I don't know. It doesn't interest me. So
are you into the plein air? Is that
plein air?
Plein air at all?
I do not paint outside very often.
Now, what are most of your subjects?
Most of my subjects are parrots with. Not just realistic parrots. My work, I would think, would be considered more like abstract impressionism. And so you can tell that they're parrots, but they have a lot of different expressions on their faces, and I do very many florals.
All right, now
lots of florals that are just obviously in my head because I'm not copying anything. It's just it's just mostly the color and the texture and the pen and ink detail.
Now I notice most, not all, but most watercolors tend to be in the pastels. Are you doing the pastels, or are you doing the bright, vivid colors?
No, my paintings are very vivid.
You said parrots, and I'm seeing bright reds and emerald greens and the sapphire blues.
Yeah, they're not pastel at all.
Okay, that's a good thing too.
And that's where the texture and the other papers and the layers of it just creates the layers and the vibrancy. But my paintings would never be considered pastel.
That's a good thing, I think. I sometimes get tired of all these still lifes with the pastel greens and yellows, and it's like, oh, another one. And somehow I think why a lot of people like oils is because the colors tend to be so much more vivid than most watercolors.
And the acrylics also.
Yeah, exactly. They have brighter paint pigment, I think, and it's hard to get that with the watercolors. They wash out.
I also have, at this time, a very large display over at the Ortigia restaurant, which is also in the Village of the Arts. Wonderful Italian food.
Italian again. There we go. With the theme. But you won't be at the Irish Festival.
I didn't even know there was one.
All right. So you're in the Village of the Arts, and you have a couple of websites. It's www.creativeartdecor.com or bcolangelo.com, and I will spell those out. The first one's www.creativeartdecor.com, or your name, bcolangelo.com. So the Creative Art Decor is the best place to go and see your work. www.creativeartdecor.com, and they can see a sampling of your work and contact you through that website, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So that we got that out of the way, and we can go on. Now, you said you have two sons who are both artistic. Not autistic, artistic. And one's musical and the other is art. Now, what does the artistic one, that's the regular art?
He doesn't really... He hasn't really developed his art. He's just very artistic. I mean, as far as...
Drawing and
he's
painting?
Just drawing, painting, whatever, but that's not what he does.
But not a sculptor or anything.
No, but that's what he does. He does not do art as a profession.
He'll wait till he retires.
Yeah, maybe.
and
my other son is he plays the keyboard and sings, and he plays in a lot of the local restaurants in the area.
So he does like background music, the nice calm music that you can eat to?
No, I wouldn't say he does the nice calm music that you can eat to. He does more of a performance in the restaurants that I don't know. He plays like Billy Joel and Van Morrison, Elton John, Beatles. You know, music from that era, as well as the current music. Probably of which I don't know that much about.
Me neither. I'm learning all the time from my musicians that are on the show. But.
So I can give him a plug because he's jerseyrick.com.
And one of these days we may actually manage to get him on the show too.
That would be nice.
So, back to the, you only have two sons?
Yes, and 7 grandchildren.
Wow, that'll keep you busy.
It does.
And you have a lot of people to teach art to.
Yes, in fact, I did actually teach them quite a few things when on their visits here. And right now my son, who's the musician, lives in the area with his 3 children. And when they were younger, I taught them many different methods and things and how to draw eyes. And
do you happen to have or be associated with, or do you have something against? I'm getting to the art managers, the brokers, the people agents, an art agent. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had one?
No. And
would you consider one if it meant that you didn't have to do any of the worrying and they took care of shows?
I don't think so.
Because they get a pretty hefty commission?
I don't think it's because of that. I think it's because I'm satisfied with what I'm doing now, and I'm not looking to reach out in that direction.
Right, you shrunk back to Florida and local instead of trying to expand. But if somebody was starting out, would you think that an agent might help, or depends on the...
I think it depends on the art and the artist. You have to understand that in this area of Bradenton, Sarasota, there are hundreds and hundreds of artists.
That's why this is Culture Coast.
Right. And I probably know most of them, and I know some wonderful, wonderful artists. And I don't think I know any who use an agent.
So, because it's so
and because
bountiful.
we have the arts, so many art centers. We have St. Pete,
Manatee.
Palmetto, Manatee Art Center Sarasota, Venice Art Center, all the way down to Punta Gorda. So, it's just... There are many places and outlets for you to show your work and for you to sell your work.
And then all
There's
the galleries.
Palm Avenue, all the galleries on Palm Avenue.
There's so many.
Yeah. And
now,
in the Village of
when
the
you
Arts.
show in a gallery, what kind of cut do you get if you're on Palm Avenue?
Well, I was on Palm Avenue at one time for several years, and most galleries will take a 50% commission. Some will take 40.
That's pretty hefty for showing your work.
Even if you're selling from a gallery, most of the time they're going to take 40 or 50% of your work. So, yes.
Some people should know that. Now, what about the art centers? How much do they usually take?
Oh, gosh. I think it varies. I don't know specifically right now what they're taking.
But it's less.
Yes.
So you would make more at a art center than you probably would at one of the galleries.
Yes, but I think that you would have a better chance of selling from a gallery where you have a smaller audience.
Okay.
And most of the shows are juried in the art centers, and so you have to get into the juried show, and then maybe somebody will buy it. So,
maybe.
So you don't know. You never know. It's just so unknown.
Okay. I'm asking these questions because they're ones I haven't asked before, and it seems something that the audience might be interested in, the artists out there knowing what they might be facing, and that if somebody is asking 50% to be in their gallery, then it's not unreasonable, that's pretty much the norm.
And an important thing also for artists is your presentation, and the fact that if you have plexi on your paintings, then it can't be scratched. Your frames need to be clean. Your mats need to be clean. So your presentation is very important when you go to any venue.
Whether gallery or art center,
Exactly.
It has to look good. This is off your art and on to the Dancing Cranes art. Recently they had a show here, and everything was stretched canvas on small, equal
Oh, yes,
size.
that was a Women Contemporary Artists show.
And they were all the same size.
Yes, they were all, we did a 10 by 10 show. I'm a member of that group, and I was also their president for 5 years.
So
we, WCA, Women Contemporary Artists, rented the gallery for the month, and we did the show 10 by 10.
And you were the president of that?
Not
art,
at the time,
I
was.
I mean, you were the president of this art community.
Of this group of women for 5 years.
Are you involved in any groups like that right now?
Well, I'm still a member of Women Contemporary Artists, but not right now.
Too busy?
Yes, it seems like I am too busy.
Understood. So there's artist groups that you can also sign. I know that
there are many artist
locally.
groups. There's the Florida Artist Group. There's the Florida Suncoast Watercolor Society, as well as the Florida Watercolor Society. And there's a plein air group called Light Chasers.
And all of
and
these...
actually, they're coming into the Dancing Crane Gallery next year.
Now, these groups, do they cost money to become a member of?
Some of them, yes.
Some of them. Mm-hmm. No, it's not high though. It shouldn't be prohibitive.
No, I believe that the membership for WCA is now $60 a year, something like that.
Which isn't unreasonable for a whole year.
No, the art centers may be charging a little bit more, but there is a yearly fee for most of what you're going to join.
Yeah, I think any group, even the writers' groups, they have an annual fee as long as you're not paying for every single time you go. That they seem pretty reasonable. Now, what about meetup groups? Have you found that those are, because that's a computer thing, are there more and more of those coming into the picture?
Not that I see.
Okay.
Or
good.
Not that I'm personally involved with. It may be, but I haven't involved myself in that.
Well, I thank you so much for being on Culture Coast.
And
it was a pleasure talking to you. And we will hope that we see lots and lots of you without overstressing you. We don't want to make you work too hard, but at the same time, it's great knowing that people love to have your work. So
yes, in fact, in the past couple of months, I've sold at least 6 paintings. So smaller paintings. I think pricing is really important right now.
Things are picking up a little bit.
Things are picking up, but this still...
The lower end, not the upper end.
Yeah, I'm not selling for, $1,800 anymore. So
I've noticed the same thing in our gallery. Yes,
right.
We dropped prices tremendously.
Right. So I've dropped my prices immensely. I'm working a little bit smaller, but I had good success with it in the past couple of months, so that's good.
So
good
if
for me.
anybody would like to buy something smaller or larger, you can see her work at www.creativeartdecor.com, and you can go to culturecoastren.com and listen to the podcast and get the links. They will be right on the site. So we hope that you get some activity from this. And
Thank
it was
you.
great having you. Thanks.
Nightmares. Frightful visions during the night, causing terror and loss of sleep. Daymares. Frightful visions during the day, causing fear and paranoia. Gothmares. Gothic visions that can happen anytime, causing horror and disgust. But sometimes they offer answers. Read Gothmares if you dare. Gothmares, a young adult novel by Al Musitano, available on Amazon and fine bookstores everywhere.
Village of the Arts, the largest artist colony in the state of Florida, located on 42 acres, includes artists, homes, galleries, gardens, and restaurants featuring handcrafted gifts, fine art sculptures, painting, photography, enviro art, healing arts, books, mystics, and musical variety. A few of the galleries are unique in their offerings. Village Voices specializes in books and art created exclusively by Florida residents. The Dancing Crane Gallery offers fine art, custom jewelry, and unique innovative art. The Village Mystic offers all things metaphysical: meditation, massage, mediums, aromatherapy, psychics, shamans, Reiki healing, and the gem mine, where you can mine for your own personal treasure. Yoga Arts offers classes or one-on-one coaching. Musicians and bands can be found throughout the area. Many of the artists and musicians offer classes. Restaurants and bakeries provide respite for the weary and magic for the foodies. Visit during the first Friday Art Walk and stroll through the shops and galleries enjoying free appetizers, wine, music, and demonstrations. For hours and information, please visit the website at www.villageofthearts.com.